you want a standard brawl deck that you can play for a long time and you're new to the game and don't have many cards to play with? This is the video for you. We have Arahbo. Now, this commander is very easy to build for standard brawl because you have access to him in the Cat Attack starter deck. So you'll see there are a lot of cards in here that actually show up in the brawl deck, like Savannah Lions, and Vanguard, Helpful Hunter, Dawning Marshal, Arahbo himself, Fellow Savior, Claws Out, Regal, Curricle. All of those appear in the deck, so building Arahbo will save you on quite a bit of wild cards. I'm actually on a pretty fresh account here, so I don't have many wild cards. You can see I have like nothing. But when you do start the game, you will get a whole bunch of packs in your inbox to open up. And if you open up those packs, it will get you wild cards, which you can use to spend on the deck. It is mostly uncommons and commons. There are some rares, which I will show you here. But first, I will show you how many cards from the Foundation set there are. Now, if you're new to Magic and you're unaware, Foundations is a set that Wizards of the Coast released, I think in 2025, I want to say, maybe 2024. And the whole gimmick for that set is that the cards in it will be legal in Standard until 2029. So, a common issue with Standard Brawl is that the cards rotate out of Standard. The Foundations will not rotate for a long time. Longer than average, I would say. They may even push it longer. I may even have it wrong. Let me double check. Okay, I stand corrected. Foundations is legal until early 2030. That is a long time. That is a long time to play with this commander. You have like 4 years to run this deck. So, plenty of time to build up your collection and get some wins. This video is going to be relevant for a lot longer than normal standard videos. Now, if you are unaware, Arahbo is a cat tribal commander. That means you will want to run a lot of cat creatures in your deck. He acts as, they call this a Lord effect, giving other cats +1/+1 power and toughness. And whenever Arahbo or another non-token cat creature enters, create a 1/1 white cat creature token. So, here, let's get rid of Foundation stuff. So I tried to put a lot of Foundations cards in here because a lot of these will be legal for a long time. I'll post a link to the deck in the description. There's a considering page there, which has cards that you may want to enter into the deck, some of them from Foundations, just so that you have longer to play with them. But other cards that would be nice as well if you don't have access to them. There's only one mythic rare in this deck, and that's only because I opened it from one of my packs, and it's Cavern of Souls. This is a very handy land to have if you're against a control deck, but it's not super necessary for the deck. If you don't want to spend a mythic wild card on this, then you're perfectly fine just adding another plains or adding another land from the considering portion of the Moxfield link that'll be in the description. So, okay, yeah, let's just give you a showcase. So here are the rares that you will need for the deck. You don't have to craft some of these rares. Like, I just have Confessor Bindings in here because, again, I opened it up from one of my packs. But it is a pretty handy card to have if you're going up against a deck that, you know, keeps killing your commander. Because what you can do is you can play your commander and then play this out. You'll have 2 creatures on board. So you will be able to tap them and get the card draw. So that's one of the few ways of getting card advantage in the deck. There aren't many ways of getting card advantage. The Iron Crag, any 2 mana rock can go here. I put quite a few ways of 2 mana generation, 2 cost mana generation cards. I have Page Loose Leaf here, I have Arcane Signet, I have Iron Crag. The reason that those are in here is because on turn 2, you don't really want to play out some of your 2-drops, like, you know, the Airrinks, or the Glory Heath Lynx, or the Marshall, because you want Arahbo to be out first, so that way, when you play these cats, you will get an additional non-token cat creature token on the field. But I've designed this deck to be pretty versatile. Yeah, you don't need stuff like Hovership. I just have it in here because I opened it from a pack, so I figured to add it. Adaptive Automaton, I did craft. If you don't know how to craft cards, you hit this in the deck builder, you hit this craft button. And you can either search the card by name, like say I want to search for Solemn Simulacrum. It'll appear here. I actually already have a copy of Solemn Simulacrum, but if you wasn't, well, I mean, you can craft any of these cards. So let's say Road. It'll show up here. Or if you want to filter more, you click on these little sliders here, and it'll give you a whole bunch of options of cards to filter for. You can filter for commons, uncommons, select multiple at a time, select cards that are collected, not collected, which set you want to look for, which type you want to look for. Yeah, you'll know what wild cards you have to play with here, but if you don't really want to bother with hunting and pecking for cards to add to the deck, like, I feel like this is a pretty good budget version of Arahbo, so I would just stick with this. Maybe you can remove some rares. Like, I didn't have Automaton in the deck for a while, I didn't have Hovership in the deck, Confessor's Binding isn't necessary, but a lot of these cards are pretty necessary. So your strategy with the deck is pretty much on turn 2 or turn 1. If I have a Savannah Lions, I'll play Savannah Lions. If I don't have a Savannah Lions, I won't really do anything on turn 1. Turn 2, I may play a Lynx out because of the saddle ability, but outside of that, you can possibly play Airrinks, but for the most part, I just want to play a Mana Rock on turn 2. Play Arahbo. Hopefully in my hand I have one of these protection spells, Crumb and Get It, Divine Resilience, which is also a Foundations card, Interjection if I'm running against like red. That's a good option to have, a good thing to have. I think there's also some 2 mana protection spells. Battle Menu, very versatile, can possibly help protect him. Valorous Stance, also another way to protect Arahbo. And if he happens to die, you can just let him go to the graveyard and revive him with a Helping Hand, or where is it? Return Triumphant. So you have many ways of protecting Arahbo, keeping him on the board, keeping his effect online. That even if your opponent has a lot of removal, you shouldn't really struggle. Like, it is annoying and it can slow you down, but this deck can even survive having all of your creatures destroyed. I have definitely had my board wiped and then have gotten back into the game because I just have the mana to play Arahbo again and then have other cards in hand to play. And your finishers are towards the top of the curve. Like you have Jazal Goldmane. This is an amazing finisher for the deck. Also a Foundations card. Sadly, it is not in the cat deck, so you will need to spend a rare wild card on it. But this is a pretty strong card to have in the deck. If you have a board of like 5 creatures, and then you play this guy on turn 4, and you get to turn 5, you have 5 mana available, you attack with everything, use his ability, the opponent's pretty much dead. Like, there's not much they can do. They're not going to survive that. Cliff Mage helps with getting the board bigger. Heraldic Banner is another kind of board buff that you can have. Automaton buffs the board. Regal Caracal, very important card. You don't have to spend a wild card on it. It gives you a whole bunch of tokens. If you play this and you have Arahbo out, you will get 4 cats on the field and an additional buff for your cats, and you get lifelink. So if you have a sizable board and you play Caracal and then you attack with all your creatures, you will gain a whole bunch of life, and it'll be very hard for your opponent to come back from that. Claws out, of course, this is often a 2 mana board buff for your cats, which is, it's not even for your cats, it has affinity for your cats. So as long as you have 3 or more cats on the board, this will only cost 2 mana, which is really good. And Malamute Warscribe, this card is an okay finisher. This is a card that's going to rotate out in like a year. I may have opened this from a pack. Actually, I think I crafted it. There is another card that can go here that's a rare, that's a rare card that's from Foundations that you might want instead of Malamute Warscribe. I just find it to be a little bit of a win. It's kind of win more, but also like risky, so I didn't put it in the deck. But I think there's a good argument for adding it to the deck. I'll show you really quick the Moxfield deck that we have. So this is what your curve looks like. Oh, I can actually show you the curve down. I think it's down here. Yeah, so a lot of 2-drops and lots of creatures. So I put cards you may want to consider adding in the considering section. So we have Adamant Will. You can maybe put this in the deck over Interjection. I put in Interjection because it's cheaper and it helps you. It's a really efficient combat trick, and it can often save your creature too in combat. So I added it there. Vanishing Light, okay removal, also a Foundations card. Lifecraft Engine, this is a card you may want to add in place of the Hovercraft card. Where is Hovercraft? Yeah, or Hovership. You may want it because it's more of a pushing damage card. I put in Hovership because there are a lot of commanders your opponent can run that you will want to get rid of, and having a vehicle that is immune to board wipes and can attack and can get rid of their commander is pretty strong. So I'm keeping it in instead of the Lifecraft Engine. Celestial Armor, I don't really recommend having this card. Having a protection spell at 3 mana is kind of insane. Sure, it's an equipment that sticks around, but it's just really slow and grindy, and this deck wants to win fast, which is another benefit to, I think, why you should craft it. Because if you want to, if you don't really want to spend money and you just want to, like, play games, get gold, then this is a good deck to do it because it can often win you games very quickly. So it's good for doing some of the daily challenges. Like if you have a daily challenge for playing white spells or attacking with creatures, this deck will get you those challenges really easily. But it also will get you the 4 daily wins of gold. Like if you don't know, The first 4 wins you play on Arena get you a good chunk of gold, and this deck will help you get that quickly if you're into that. Banner of Kinship, this is the card I was talking about from Foundations. You may want to consider adding this in place of Malamet Warscribe, because it is a Foundations card, so it won't rotate soon, and it does fit well for the deck. Yeah, my one problem is that this could be a dead card in your hand because it itself is not a cat, so it will not add to the board. And if you open a hand that doesn't have a lot of cats in it, this isn't going to do a whole lot for you. But it can very easily swing them, give you a massive board out of nowhere that will surprise your opponent, so it has potential. I might be silly not adding it to the deck. If you have the wild card to spend, you know, maybe try it out. Maybe once Malamet Warscribe rotates, you know, consider adding it. Also, some lands you may want to have. Demolition Field is a good one to have. This is just very handy in Brawl, because there are a lot of lands that are annoying to deal with, and your opponent may only have one of them, but you want to get rid of it, and this really helps. Demolition Field I don't think is as needed in an aggressive deck like this, but if you find that you're struggling with lands that your opponent has, then you might want to add it. Rogue's Passage, another classic, like just in case you need to sneak through some damage. I find that I don't think it's really needed, but if there's a meta where your opponent has a lot of planeswalkers and can protect them with a lot of creatures, then maybe you want this. Soulstone Sanctuary, another Foundations card. It is a rare, you would have to craft it, but this card counts as a cat when you make it into a creature, so it is worth considering. Because this can also help a little bit against board wipe protection, because if your opponent wipes your board and say they are low on life, you can activate this land and just straight up kill them. Like, a lot of people have died to that. I've seen it. So it is a worthy include if you have the wild card to spend. Fountain Port, I'm not sure when this rotates. Okay, so it'll rotate in early 2027, so I didn't include it in the deck because, again, you need to spend a rare wild card on it, and it's going to be rotating out soon, so I did not open it up in a pack, so I just didn't feel like adding it, but it is pretty good. The problem is that it's better for a control deck, not really an aggro deck, so it may have some synergy if, like, you're running against an opponent that wants to wipe your board. But I think a better wild card, if you're gonna spend it, is on Abandoned Air Temple, because not only does this land add white mana, which you really want a good chunk of. You have a lot of 1 mana white cards, so having as much white mana as possible is good. But it also buffs your board, so if you have a wild card to spend, this is a good one to spend it on. I didn't because I just didn't want to spend my wild cards. I wanted to spend my wild cards reasonably, and those are for the picks that I have here. I suppose if you want more mana, another consideration another card to consider is Springleaf Drum. This requires having a creature on field to add mana, which you frequently will be able to do. I think I'll add that to the considering portion of the deck. I don't think that there's much in terms of 2 mana mana rocks that you can add. Yeah, I think that's it for 2 mana rocks, so you can consider adding it. The only 3 mana rock I have is Heraldic Banner, and that's just because if you name white, then it's a board buff. So outside of that, I don't really think you want any more mana rocks. Yeah, that's pretty much the deck. So we're gonna test it out. Play maybe like 5 games, maybe more, depending on how quickly they go. But yeah, let's give this deck a few runs just to showcase what it can do. Alright, we're facing Ugin. This is an interesting matchup because they are going to be ramping and they're also going to be exiling. So I don't think this hand is that impressive. I don't like that they're going first. I'm probably just gonna exile my stuff, but having a big board would be nice. I think I'm just gonna mulligan this hand. Okay, I like this hand a lot better. A lot more. Okay, turn 2 Iron Crag is great. I'm gonna hold off on the Vanguard because their commander can deal with single targets. Not really, it doesn't do well against multiple targets. So I want to get Arahbo out as soon as possible and then play this Leonin Vanguard. I don't know why they're running a Swiftfoot Boots. That's kind of a silly include to me, but they lovey. Yes, so I will go ahead. I might even consider Heraldic Banner. Because if they can remove my, I don't know what they can have that can remove my commander, but if they can, then kind of annoying. Not the worst though. Maybe I should just play my commander out. Yeah, I'll just play my commander out. And I'm not gonna make the Iron Crag into a equipment. Now, I will note, when I first read Iron Crag, I thought that equipping it to a creature would make the creature lose all of its abilities. That's just not true. The artifact loses its mana ability. It doesn't make the creature lose its ability. Alright, so they're gonna potentially wipe my board. There is a vehicle they could have that can wipe the board. I think I'm just gonna hope that they don't have it. Yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and banner here. Play it on white. And I will play the air rinks. Now, if they can wipe my board, that's pretty bad. Okay, it looks like they can't wipe the board. So that's good. That's a good sign. They take out Arahbo, but that's okay. So they might exile a few more things. But it's not the end of the world if they do. Yeah. See, this is... They can't take away my artifacts, so that's good. Alright, Cavern of Souls, we're gonna name Cat. And let us... So we can kill their commander here. And that might be worth it. Although maybe it's just better to back in. Well, here, I'm definitely playing Arahbo. I think now I will transform this. I think in the end I will kill that commander.
That was all the aid I wish to give.
Okay, that's a good sign. They get rid of Arahbo again, but that's okay.
Knowledge. I will mend this broken world.
Alright, they gain life. Okay.
Focus. Breathe. And learn.
I think I'm playing Adaptive Automaton, naming Cat. I think we win here. Yeah, we win here. So I'll attach this. Swing in for Lupa. Yeah. Okay. So Ugin is kind of a difficult card to run in Standard Brawl. Standard Brawl is running a colorless commander is really difficult. So that wasn't too hard of a mashup. Vivi, however, that is a difficult matchup. Vivi is busted in Standard Brawl, and I need a plan for Vivi. I suppose I'll keep this hand, but this might just be a loss. This says it's hard to beat Vivi when you're on a budget deck. Going wide is a good start though. And having interjection, also not bad. Sucks that we're going first. Or going second, I mean. But yeah, we're gonna try. I don't have hopes that we will win this. This is a matchup that you might just want to consider not even attempting to try. Okay. Well, the nice thing is that if they kill my Arahbo, I can bring him back with Return Triumphant. I'll let that stay as an equipment. But yeah, we're in trouble here. So they probably kill my Arahbo. Another tech is that there are a lot of blue enchantments that remove abilities from creatures. So if they use that on Arahbo, what you can do is use Ennis Debate Moderator and exile Arahbo and bring him back to the field. So the aura will fall off of the Arahbo. Yeah, so our opponent's gonna have a big turn. Vivi is just a big mana cheating commander. It's very annoying to play against. But our opponent seems to be all about that play. Have they even played another land this turn? Okay, they have played a land, but they can still activate Vivi's ability. Okay. And Vivi's really annoying. We can't kill Vivi here, sadly. We also... So we might just be dead next turn. I'll be honest. Well... I could use Ennis to turn the Iron Crag into a equipment and equip the Vanguard. That's not the worst idea. Problem is, I'd have to exile Arahbo if I don't want to get rid of a token. Oh, I guess exile up to 1. I don't think that's worth it. I think going wide is better. And then holding up interjection. So go to combat. Yeah, I don't think our opponent is going to lose here. I think that we're gonna lose. I think now's a good time to transform it. Now, if we rip a board buff off the top, then that's a pretty good sign, but we might just be dead this turn. Vivi has been allowed to stay on the board for too long. Even if we had removal, they usually have protection spells for Vivi, so... yeah. Yep. So now they're gonna give Vivi a gigantic buff. They haven't even added the mana yet. They have like 10 mana to play with, maybe even more. This is why Vivi's in. Okay, they have 10 mana to play with. Okay. That's not a good sign. Now Vivi has trample. They'll have 5 more mana. We have a chance at winning if they can't kill us and we get a board wipe or board buff off the top. Okay, so we can actually protect Arahbo here. Question is, will it matter? No, it will not. So I'm gonna let Arahbo go to the yard. But yeah, we are probably dead. One attacks in. I can't really block with much, so I'm gonna block with him. Probably die. Yep. Good game. Not really. Vivi's very frustrating to play against. I wouldn't blame you if you just snap concede against Vivi. Alright, let's try again. Alright, this is a much more balanced matchup. We're not facing one of the literal top tier decks in the format. So this hand... I want to mulligan this hand because we don't have a lot of early plays or answers to Delny. This is probably a Rabbits deck, which could be an issue. Mulligan. Not the greatest hand, but I will keep it. Luckily, we are going first. I'll play out the Airrinks just so I can scry a bit when I play Arahbo. Play Sanctifier, that's interesting. Play Arahbo. A saddle Arahbo. Get rid of that land. Delny's gonna come down. Divine Resilience, not a bad draw. Name ourselves a cat. I'm just gonna do this. Alright, I will take that land. Play Gleep Mage. Oh. Well then. Great. Maybe I don't want to keep Arahbo, because I could just play Arahbo again. So if I were drawing Banner, it wouldn't be that great here. Or if I had Malamute Warsife be Banner, then it wouldn't be the greatest play. So this is interesting because they're not the rabbit deck that I thought they would be. Makes me curious of what they actually are doing. Maybe they are. Who knows? Could be. Okay, so they should be the rabbit deck. Yeah. Ooh. That's a good card. So what I'll do here is I want to slow my opponent down a little bit. So take out the Cavern Souls. I'm gonna Sheltered by Ghosts. They're Delny. Play the Dying Marshal. Now, either they can blow up my Sheltered by Ghosts or they'll kill my Arahbo. See what they do. If they want to kill Arahbo, I have Divine Resilience, so I'd be okay. Okay, fair enough. There's the Heir Apparent. There we go. Luckily, they don't get any creatures, so I wouldn't hate a land here. That's also not bad. So these guys can deal 16 damage and then 15. It's not quite enough to kill. This puts them in an awkward spot because they don't want to block really. Okay. So the sucky thing is they'll probably gain a whole bunch of life here. But we will have a very impressive board. So that was a close game. I think we lose now. Unless we draw Regal Caracal. Nope. Yeah, we lose. Okay. This is a good hand. I'm gonna play the airing so that I can scry on my turn. I'll take that card. Possible I should have Sheltered by Ghosts on the Ruby, but I'd rather Sheltered by Ghosts on a bigger thing. Okay. That's a good target. But no buts. If they want to block, we can interjection. Hook, line, and sinker. Now sadly you don't want to play Confessor's Bindings because of that. Saves us a Sheltered by Ghosts. Alright. That's a win. We overcame somebody. Here we go again. Alright, Zal. Non-basic lands enter tapped. Luckily, we don't really have many of those, so I think this is an okay hand. I'm gonna keep it. I will play my non-basic land first. Norin. Alright. Pitch that land. So this guy is an aggro deck, which sucks because we are going first. Squire, one of the cards you want to craft for foundations, because it is a good turn 2 play if you don't have a mana rock. Alright, fair enough. Now this is pretty huge because if they kill my Arahbo, I will put him in the yard. Yep, okay. Nope, he stays in the yard. Do they kill the 1/1 cat? Nope. So we are going wide on the red deck. Okay, sure. It killed my Arahbo again. It's a weird play. Considering he cannot block. Ooh, that's a good hand. Good draw, I mean. So if they kill Arahbo again, we can bring it back from the graveyard. Again. You might not even need that though, because we can just play Malamet Warscribe. I just realized Malamet Warscribe actually works with Ennis. Actually, no it doesn't. Never mind. So I think that's a win. Yep. All right. Let's do a couple more games. The infamous Cruel Claw. That is scary. Claw is airy. But we can go wide on him, so that's okay. But turn... interesting. Okay. Line. So they might have like a monstrous rage, but... Okay. Cool beans. Nope, he stays in the yard. Double strike, huh? Crazy. That's okay though, I can kill that thing. Alright, they shoot the sheriff. Cool. Okay. We're going to battle over our commanders, I guess. That's not gonna cut it. Do I just win here? I'm gonna go ahead and hover ship on the slasher. Swing out. Claws out. And that's a win. Okay, so now you're starting to see the power of this deck. We can win very fast, we can reanimate our commander, we can protect our commander. Reanimation is honestly, like, really good for this deck. Because Arahbo will be a high priority kill target. So, bringing him back is great because he has an enters the battlefield trigger. Zurgo, that's an interesting one. We do have the hover ship though. We do have the hover ship, so that's pretty nice. Cannot play it yet. But hover ship will hit Zurgo, so that's good. Okay, we can now play the hover ship if we get there. And I guarantee our opponent is going to have perfect mana to play Zurgo on turn 3. That's just how it typically is. So I'm going to play the Lynx. Right, they play Zurgo, that's good. Not the greatest play, because I can block the 1/1, gain 2 life. And now I'll play the hover ship. attack with links. Hopefully we draw a land. We're running 25 lands because we want to hit our land drops. If we don't, it's not the end of the world. Okay, that's pretty annoying. But again, not the end of the world. Okay, great. We hit our land drop. Okay, so I will go Signet into Arahbo. And normally I would saddle with links to attack, but I think we need to hold back. And then I can play Regal Caracal, and that's pretty potent. Okay, Impact Tremors, that's pretty cool. I kill Arahbo, right? Noted. Oh, I was gonna crew my Arahbo in response. Okay. Yep. Actually, we can crew you. Kill the pack beast. So that was a bit of a punt from the opponent. So we can totally deal with the life gain issue here. Search for a plains. So we're in a pretty good position here. Regal Caracal is just so good. This is like the cat version of Grave Titan. Ooh, attacking tokens have Death Touch. That's pretty potent. Not gonna lie. Still don't want to attack with your brigade for reasons. Yep, alright. So I think what I will do here is let's see, this guy counts for tokens, huh? It plains. And I'll play a loose leaf because I want to use Enthusiast to buff my board a whole bunch. I should have enough mana for it. Let's see. I have 6, 7, 8, 9. And I need 3 3 mana to play him. When he enters, it'll trigger Arahbo. So I'm okay with doing this. Gain some life. They might wipe the board, but if they do, I think we're okay. Okay. That's okay. I'm gonna let that die, I guess. So play this guy. Becomes prepared. I use him on these guys. Play Savannah Lions. He becomes prepared. Buff, I guess, these guys. And we can swing in with everything, it doesn't really matter. That's a lot of life. Okay, let's do one more game. Yeah, this deck can very easily steamroll your opponent. I'm thinking that a change you may want to make is having some just more generic removal. Banishing Light's a good option. But ideally you want removal that's at 2 mana, which there are some you can do, like, isn't it, not Get Out. There's one that is 2 mana and makes map tokens when you destroy something of the opponent's. I forget what that one is though. Okay, we have a Start Your Engines card and we're going second. Great. So we might just get run over here, which is unfortunate. This is the plight of going second. In fact, well, they'd have to copy an artifact spell. Are they holding up counter magic? Is that what's happening here? Interesting. So this is what I call going second syndrome, losing because you're going second. That'll happen. I don't know what kind of artifacts they have in hand, but I'm sure they're not fun. Yep, not fun. Yep. Ooh, a requisition raid. So they don't have any enchantments, which is good. Question is, what artifact do I destroy? I guess this one? Ooh, okay. Hovercraft is great. That's not good though. But we have a game on our hands here. For sure have a game on our hands. Copy target spell you control, huh? Not gonna lie, I'm gonna be annoyed if they wipe the board again. Like, it's not the end of the world, but okay. Consider me annoyed. Like, okay, bro. Is there any way out of this? Nope, not with draws like that. Alright, that's game. I mean, we can't end on that. Come on. I don't know what area it does. Okay, enchanted by an aura. Interesting. Well, I think this is a good hand for this, because if they enchant my Arahbo, then Ennis can, you know, cover him from the aura, so... I'm hoping for a land here. If I don't get a land, it's probably over. Especially now that they've played that. Land. Yeah. Well, not completely over yet, but pretty over. Yeah, it's pretty over. Oh, well, maybe. That's a pretty weak... Oh my goodness. Hey, a land! Dude, look at that. think we had a decent shot before we got the hands. Well, that's not good. I mean, there's a chance they miss lethal. Actually, there's no chance they miss lethal. Yeah, that was all the lands. Alright, this matchup's not terrible. That's a good draw. Is that a wizard? It is. Huh, I didn't know that. If I rip a land, then that's really good for me. Because I go Iron Crag into Arahbo. Buster Sword. I'm okay with playing the bindings. Okay, cool. Action. That's fine. Ooh. So, because I'm having issues with mana, I think what I will do is, Iron Crag. Let's see, whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to player, drop. Yeah, I want to deny them. You have a ninja? No, okay. Leyline axe. Interesting. I think I'll keep that. Is Ward 1. Sure. Gains Death Touch and Indestructible. Well, I'm gonna gain Indestructible. Yay. And might as well do this. You. And we can buff everybody. Alright. So that's Arahbo. So there are some matchups where you may struggle, but a lot of times you can just beat down your opponent. So that's it. Deck link will be in the description. Yeah, thanks for watching. Bye.